Jodie Emery. See that free Marc Emery? See that banner up there that says free Marc? Jodie Emery, editor of Cannabis Culture magazine and British Columbia Green Party policing critic, is married to the Prince of Pot, Marc Emery. Marc Emery is a prominent activist and philanthropist in Canada who funded the marijuana movement worldwide with millions of dollars from his cannabis seed business. In 2005, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration had him arrested in Canada. After years of trying to fight extradition, he was brought to Seattle. What a disgrace. He was brought to Seattle, Washington for a 5-year plea deal, prison term in the United States. His wife, Jodie Emery, continues to operate his store and website and will run Canada's next federal election as a Green Party candidate. Jodie is devoted to her husband, devoted to bringing Marc Emery back home, ending the war on drugs, so no one else has to spend a single day in prison for pot. No prison for pot, Jodie Emery. Give her a welcome. She came from Canada to speak to you.
Thank you, Vivian, and thank you to everybody in Seattle. Everybody at Seattle Hempfest has been so good to my husband, but has also been so good to you. To look at this and know that I'm standing in the United States of America, where millions of people are locked up and arrested, their lives ruined because of cannabis, that you're able to have this here, where you can find out about where to buy marijuana seeds. And meanwhile, half an hour that way, my husband sits in a prison cell, maximum security, awaiting sentencing for selling seeds. And it wasn't just selling seeds that got him in trouble, because there's a lot of people selling seeds. But Marc Emery, the Prince of Pot, as he was known around the world through CNN, National Geographic, Rolling Stone, everybody knew of Marc because he was the leader to many in the movement. Back in 1994, he went to Vancouver and he said, "This movement needs money. Our enemy has endless money. The government, the police, the prisons, they've got all the money and we need money." So he decided to sell marijuana seeds and said, every dollar I raise will go back into the movement. Every dollar will go towards medical marijuana initiatives, which he funded in Colorado and Arizona and Washington, D.C. He did federal class action lawsuits against the government on behalf of medical marijuana patients. He sold millions of seeds all across America, through California and every state, to help you grow your own medicine so you wouldn't have to buy from the cartels. Because Marc's mission was very clear, and he stated it with every order of seeds he filled and every dollar he spent. He wanted to plant the seeds of freedom and overgrow the government. And his mission was to enable people to be free from this oppression, because a lot of people know about Marc, free Marc Emery the Prince of Pot, but there are thousands and thousands of people who are in prison right now who nobody knows who they are. Nobody's calling for their name or hanging a banner up. So even though it's horribly depressing to be away from my loved one and to have him locked up here when he was facing life in prison, to take a 5-year plea deal so his 2 co-accused didn't go to jail, to know that he has this much support represents that all drug users and abusers and everybody who's suffering in the United States prison industry is a victim of this war on drugs, and it's got to end for everybody. So that's why he spent millions of dollars and devoted all of his time doing Cannabis Culture magazine. Pot TV was the first video streaming website. He helped spread information. He ran in elections. He funded the U.S. Marijuana Party. Millions and millions of dollars went towards ending the war on drugs. And when the DEA came into Canada in 2005 and had him arrested on conspiracy charges, they said he was going to go to prison for 30 years to life, but that it was a significant blow to the marijuana legalization movement. They said that Marc Emery was targeted for his legalization activities. Seeds weren't even mentioned in the press release. So it's very clear that this U.S. government and the DEA, who's operating in countries all over the world, is going after the people who are fighting for freedom, because they don't care about the real drug dealers or the cartels, or they would be able to solve that problem. What they care about is dissent and calling for peace and tolerance and freedom and no more government oppression. And so while I go and visit my husband tomorrow morning and I tell him about this enormous crowd and all of these people here celebrating freedom, which has been done so well by all of the people behind Seattle Hempfest who need your support, he'll be so pleased to know that if you all just do something, spread the word free Marc Emery, because it means free all the prisoners of the drug war. And that's what we've got to do. So on September 10th downtown here, Marc is being sentenced. I hope you show up at the federal court, show your support. And on the 18th, there's a worldwide rally. We've had 3 worldwide rallies for Marc. And on the 18th, if you just go and stand on a street corner, hang a big sign off an overpass, just say Free Marc Emery or Google Marc Emery, and people will look him up and realize that this war on drugs is so unjust. It's one of the worst human rights abuses that ever was, and we've got to end it. So let's work together, get involved politically like I do, donate to the Hempfest, because people like Marc aren't around with money to give around to others. They rely on your support. So if you're here, donate $10. I donated. I mean, I'm from Canada, you're from here, you're enjoying this moment of freedom, this beautiful day in this park in Seattle, where you're in the United States of America, one of the most oppressive countries on earth. But you have this freedom and you keep fighting for it and you'll get more and more. And I hope you help me bring my husband home to Canada, get him a prison transfer treaty, go to freemarc.ca, cannabisculture.com, look him up and help everybody in the drug war, because when you free Marc Emery, we free ourselves. Peace and pot.
Thank you, Jodie. Jodie Emery. I'm going to say Free Marc Emery and you give it back. Free Marc Emery! Free Marc Emery! They can't hear you at the DEA office. Free Marc Emery! Free Marc